There we go. Okay, so now we're going to look at using scatter plots and trend lines to make predictions. Okay, so a trend line is a line that comes as close to as possible to the points on a scatter plot. There's approximately the same number of points above and below the line, and we're going to ignore outliers. So when we're drawing a trend line, if there's an outlier, we're going to act like that outlier doesn't exist because it's going to mess up our line. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw a trend line, okay? So what that means is we're going to look at this data, and I'm going to draw a line that goes somewhere in the middle of it that could represent the data set. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I had to estimate my trend line, I want the same number of dots on both sides. So I'm going to estimate my trend line to be about there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I have 6 on top and 5 below, which is about accurate.
5, 4.
Draw your trend line. Make it as straight as you can. I know I didn't give you rulers today. Okay, so now we're going to use this trend line to look at some data and analyze it. So if the temperature is 90 degrees, what is the approximate number of visitors that would be expected? So I'm just going to draw a line here at 90 degrees so I know what I'm looking at. So at 90 degrees, how many visitors would you guess would be there? At 90 degrees, what would you guess? Come here.
I'd say like 475.
Okay, 475 sounds like a good guess. 475. Before we go to the next problem, will somebody tell me what this means? What does that mean?
Heart rate.
It does look like a heart rate. That's not what it means on this graph. It means that there's a break in the graph. So do you see how it goes from 0 to 80? And then the next one goes to 82, then 84. It means that there was not enough data below 80 for it to be needed on the graph. So they just made a break in the graph so that they didn't have to waste room going all the way up from 0 to 96. Okay? All right, so if the temperature was 70, so 70 is not on our graph. If the temperature was 70, how many visitors would you expect? How many visitors, based off of our trend line, would you expect?
0.
Yes, Tommy?
Less than 100.
Yes, but I'm
So
not asking for that. I want a specific number. Tristan,
Well, based on the trend line,
Mhm.
0.
based on the trend line, I would expect 0.
Let's try.
Everything that we're doing, when we're analyzing data, we're not using as much common sense as we are looking at the information that's there. Okay? What do you think would happen if the temperature went above 100? What do you think would happen if the temperature went above 100? Casey,
The visitors would just keep rising.
you think so? It would keep rising?
If it were real life, they'd probably just straight up leave because that's way too hot.
Okay,
Yeah.
so according to our trend line, it would keep rising. According to real life, how many of you want to be outside on the beach when it's 110 degrees outside? Nobody, right?
Unless
So,
you're like, unless you're
It
like,
says, what do we think would happen? So, I'm going to let you choose which side you want to be on, if you want to be on the trend line side or the real world side. But I want you to write me in one sentence about what you think would happen if the temperature went above 100. Okay, now let's talk about what would happen if the temperature went below 60. According to our trend line, what would happen? Carly?
No one would be there.
Right. It'd be like negative people, which we can't really have, so it's 0. Real life, what do you think would happen?
Same thing.
Probably the same thing, right? If it's below 60, how many of you want to go to the beach and play in the ocean?
Well, I mean,
Nobody.
Just covered in
What if it's
snow.
hailing?
Then
Nobody. Well, below
I wanna
60
move to
is a big stretch. But if it's below 60 degrees, it's way too cold to put your swimsuit on and go play in the ocean.
Yeah, you could probably
Okay,
put on your
so
coat.
I want you to write a sentence about that. Write a sentence about what would happen if it was below 60.